This is Mark Mann, and I will be doing communication as well as hearing and vision. A 6-year-old would be expected to be able to speak at least 2,000 words, and that same child will be expected to speak at least 4,000 by the time he or she reaches 6th grade. The school-age child continues to develop an understanding of the syntax and semantics of language, syntax being grammar. Specifically, spoken vocabulary is of a wider range than written. For example, a 3rd grader might say beautiful where a kindergartner won't, and neither would be able to write it. In kindergarten, you can speak very simply, and they will be able to understand. Their listening ability follows along with age-appropriate stories where they are read aloud, and they can follow simple conversation. In speaking, once again, you can keep it simple. They can answer open-ended questions such as, what did you have for lunch today? They can also retell a story or talk about an event. When you move along to 1st grade, the complexity will increase to more complex yes or no questions. They can retell stories and events in a more logical order. They use appropriate grammar, and in giving directions, this is a change from kindergarten to 1st grade. They're able to actually give directions and it makes sense. For moving along to 4th grade, they're, once again, as Sharon said, part of the concrete operation on stage, and they are able to form opinions from what they have learned based on evidence that they hear in a story. When speaking, they understand more figurative language, such as the forest stretched across the land. They are able to listen to a story, summarize, and restate ideas. So once again, we're moving towards a more complex communication. 5th grade will look the same as well, with being able to summarize main points and report information gathered in group activities. For vision, the normal vision expected in school-age children would be near vision and distance vision in its appropriate measures, binocular coordination, eye movement skills, focusing skills, peripheral awareness, and eye-hand coordination. Whenever I was observing my pre-K school, I did not note anyone with glasses, and Edelman would say that eyes in preschool years are normally hyperopic. However, they normally accommodate their eyes by adjusting their own lenses. So this would make sense that I did not note any glasses. Be sure to tell your optometrist if your child frequently holds reading material closer than normal, tends to rub his or her eyes. These are all frequently, Make sure that if you're noticing they use fingers in maintaining their place when reading, if they're omitting or confusing small words when reading, or consistently performs below potential, you make this aware to your optometrist. In hearing, the younger you are, the closer to minus 20 decibels your hearing should be. Ideally, hearing should remain acute throughout adolescence and into early adulthood. If a young child's hearing is at positive 20 or 25 decibels, further testing should be done. An ear, nose, or throat specialist should check the child's middle and inner ears, sinuses, and brain. For vision and hearing, a school nurse's checkup does not replace an optometrist or audiologist professional checkup, so make sure that you're not substituting. Also, in hearing tests, they should be done at a frequency of 2 years. They should also be done as needed, requested, mandated, or when conditions place them at risk for hearing disability. For routine screening, they should start upon entry of school and continue yearly through 3rd grade, as well as upon any grade repetition. Screening procedures to detect unilateral or bilateral sensory, neural, and or conductive hearing loss greater than 20 decibels in the frequency region from 1,000 through 4,000 hertz are applicable to this age group. Conventional audiometry, which is when children are instructed to raise their hand or point to the appropriate ear when they hear a tone, is commonly used. Conditioned play audiometry is also used. The 4 major ways in which hearing loss affects children are that it causes delay in development of receptive and expressive communication skills, The language deficit causes learning problems that result in reduced academic achievement. Communication difficulties often lead to social isolation and poor self-concept, and it may have an impact on vocational choices. For examples of communication that I witnessed in the classroom, the conversations for my pre-K class seemed to be in short bursts of words of pathos and elation. One boy scraped his knee and had elevated anxiety from the sight of blood, which was relieved by a requested Band-Aid that hid the injury. I was greeted with either shyness or acceptance from the children in the class, and as we sang songs, many of the students did not know the words but mouthed audible sounds anyway. Finally, communication between students involved touch and very limited personal space.
All right, my name's Jamie, and I did the immunizations. There's quite a few immunizations that kids need before going into school. Listed are just a bunch of the vaccines that are needed and then the age group that they're recommended to get. They include DTaP, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, IPV, which is for polio, MMR for measles, mumps, and rubella, varicella for chickenpox, influenza is yearly, the hepatitis B series, which is the 3 vaccines, Tdap, which is the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. HPV is recommended from 11 to 12, which is also a 3-dose series, and they are recommending it for boys and girls these days. The MCV for the meningococcal, hepatitis A, and then also is some vaccines that are recommended for the high-risk groups, which is the PPSV, the Hep A, and MCV. So for people who are exposed to things like that, they recommend those at a younger age and for longer through their lifetime. This is just a picture of the schedule for the recommended immunizations it's actually birth to 6 on this chart. So just starting right at the end of the chart, the DTaP, the PPSV, IPV, influenza, MMR, and varicella. And then the next chart is for the school age, for age 7 to 18. So we're also just looking at the 7 to 10 and then 11 to 12 for all of the shots. It also shows recommended, where the graph is really long, it's a recommended range for their catch-ups, so if they had missed out on one. And then this is just a picture. It's the catch-up schedule that is on this CDC and Health Department, and it just goes into a lot more detail on each of the shots, when they're supposed to get their first dose, their second doses, and so on. And here's our references.